Take that body and don't even clean the blood off the skin. Don't wash it out of my clothes. Don't change my facial expression or adjust my posture. Don't do anything to hide the reality of my death. Let people see me exactly how I was in my last moments. My face twisted in horror and confusion, my body curled unnaturally as if hunching my back could ever protect me from the bullets. Nothing can protect you. I want them to see my mouth agape, my eyes feeling betrayed but also weary, because in those final moments, I know I would be shocked but not surprised. You can't be surprised by something that happens every day. Nobody is surprised to see the sunrise in the morning. We live in a country where, in 2019, there were more mass shootings than days in the year, where kids are afraid to go to school because they don't want to get shot, where red flags are ignored and protecting rights comes before protecting lives. Many of us may have an opinion on gun rights or gun control, but do we really know what it's like to experience that type of tragedy? Find out in Shot Down, a program with poetry from Orlando by Andrea Gibson, The Plan by Adam Grabowski, again by Rashi Jing, What to Do with My Body in the Event That I Die in a Mass Shooting by Tom McAllister, and additional articles from Emma Gonzalez and Taya Moy Roberts. In an exclusive op-ed for Teen Vogue's gun control issue, Parkland survivor and activist Emma Gonzalez shares why young people are stepping up for gun control. On Wednesday, February 14th, 17 students and faculty at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland, Florida, were gunned down on the campus where I also attend school. Our lives and our community are forever changed due to this senseless tragedy, one we know could have been prevented. Since that day, many fellow survivors and I have not kept quiet. We have taken the media by storm through appearances and interviews, met with state and federal lawmakers to beg them to enact much stricter gun control laws, and been joined in protest by students around the nation and around the world who've held school walkouts and demonstrations that exhibit the energy and power of young people in full force. And this is only the beginning. The first time it happened, I was 10. Almost 10 and a quarter, I like to protest. Numbers are such a big deal when you're young. It was near the end of the day when they herded us into the auditorium. The sound of children chattering, a fluid undercurrent of murmurs in the stillness. I thought that there was an assembly, beaming at the chance to miss class. Then I looked at my teacher's face. The teachers were huddled together in a corner, speaking in that low tone adults have perfected to not worry children. I was close enough to catch a few stray words. Duck Pond shooting and campus dead. I didn't understand. When the first responders entered the Pulse nightclub after the massacre in Orlando, they walked through the horrific scene of bodies and called out, "If you are alive, raise your hand." I was sleeping in a hotel in the Midwest at the time, but I imagine in that exact moment my hand twitched in my sleep, some unconscious part of me aware that I had a pulse, that I was alive. The next day I woke to the news that an assault rifle had fired 202 bullets into a gay bar on Latin night in one of the worst massacres in U.S. history. The massacre of people who did not leave the dance floor when they heard the gunshots because they thought they were just the beats of a song. Everyone around me spent that day grieving, and every tear tasted like someone's dance sweat drying in the morgue. It wasn't until later that day, in the solid walls of home, that I learned my little brother, of flesh and blood and hair pulling and bright peals of laughter when I hugged him, had been a few buildings away from being another statistic. His daycare was close to the shooter's path. 50-some toddlers are no match for the crushing bite of a bullet. Nearly 40,000 people die every year in this country because of guns, and everyone is at their breaking point. The unfortunate reality is that Washington is completely out in touch with the American people and their support for gun violence prevention. What Washington hasn't accepted is that we've already won the fight for public opinion. Every day, pile more bodies in the halls so they can't go anywhere without stepping over the victims. Force them to look down at a dead body and lift their leg over it as if stepping over a puddle. Don't join them in their prayers. The God they pray to doesn't exist. When they step over my dead body, I want them to look down into my vacant eyes and reckon with the way it ended. I want them to be transported into my mind and feel what I felt after being shot. In those final moments, as I bleed out onto the tile floor of the mall, or onto the grass outside a summer concert, or in the dirt of the Center City Beer Garden, or in the middle of my classroom, I would be thinking of all the ways my own country has abandoned its people. For profit, for spite, for no reason at all. A September 10th NPR public poll shows not only how out of touch our elected officials are, but also how our politicians cannot seem to grasp that the nation has moved beyond the hollow thoughts and prayers playbook. The data is clear. Americans want laws to prevent gun violence. According to the poll, 89% of adult Americans want increases in funding for mental health screening and treatment. 83% of adults support universal background checks. 72% of adults support red flag laws. 72% of adults support gun licensing. 57% of adults support banning semi-automatic assault rifles. What's stopping reform isn't public will. It's the politicians who stand in the way of reform. I want to be bulletproof, she says, from the back of the car. Ingrid, my daughter, in the 3rd grade. Bulletproof. You want to be bulletproof like the song? I ask into the rearview mirror. No, like a bulletproof vest, she says, for school. I don't want to die. I'd eye the balcony for the glint of whatever might aim to tear the bodies of the spirits of the boys holding hands, or the girls with a haircut as short as my temper, when rage is a decimal I can actually get to, when I not just scream sick and ruined, watching history not be history and the music not be music, knowing someone having the best night of her whole life said, "This is my favorite song," and then a rifle lifted over a bathroom stall and emptied a magazine into the kidneys of a grown man texting, "Mommy, I'm going to die." Many companies have broken ties with the National Rifle Association, and the House of Representatives passed a bill to fund more security measures in schools. That's great, but it's not enough. We need to digitize gun sales records, mandate universal background checks, close gun show loopholes and strongman purchases, ban high-capacity magazines, and push for a comprehensive assault weapons ban with an extensive buyback system. It would also benefit us to redefine what assault weapons are, so that when we call for a ban against them, it is clear. We are not trying to ban all guns. No one needs to use an assault weapon to protect themselves while walking home at night. No one should be allowed to use an AR-15 to strategically hunt people, which, in case anyone forgot, is what made us speak out in the first place. Thank you.